Hey guys, bit of a different video today. I want to show you what I did to reassemble these carbs, sort of what it takes to reassemble them, how I cleaned them, and what the rebuild kits look like when I bought them. It's a little bit different here. I'm at home now. I'm not in the garage. I wanted a proper table set up that I can work at, so that's what I did today. So I bought 4 of these rebuild kits from vintage CB750.com. They were relatively inexpensive, and these will fit the F model CB750 from 77 and 78 and the 78K series. That's the part number. If you have a previous bike from before 77, it's entirely possible that the carbs will be different. The way that the bowls sometimes will have a brace that sort of snaps them in place. These are screwed on. I already did these 3. I wanted to show you what number 1 looks like. First and foremost, I took the bowls out. They were pretty crusty, and these are it. So as you can see, the light isn't too good. I'm using my phone here with my GoPro trying to see what I'm filming here. So I got most of the varnish out. Let's see if you can get good light here. Yeah, I got most of the varnish out. Most of the stuff that's on the bottom is a little bit hard to get to, but whatever, it works. And I already put the gasket that comes in the rebuild kit into the little groove there. There are some pinch points on the sides here that you can see where it'll help the gasket sort of stay in place at least long enough so that you can set it on the carbs when you're done. So the rebuild kits came with a whole bunch of stuff. This is the old, these are the old parts that were on the, in the carbs when I began. Obviously I didn't disassemble the top of the carbs because I took apart one of them, and actually all 4. And apart from this rust there, the top looks pretty good. No gas ever gets really up here. So they were all clean and everything. So there are some parts that I don't have to reuse in the rebuild kit. It's really just for the float bowl and the fuel section of the carbs that I'm going to use some of the new parts. So this gasket, for example, is useless and redundant, so I'm going to set it aside. So after cleaning everything, I noticed that, and also I followed instructions online, I found the proper OEM Honda shop manual. The Haynes manual had a different set of carbs in the book, so I didn't use that one as much. This little jet for the needle, for the float needle holder, is press fitted in. That didn't come out. And also this jet here is press fitted in, so that doesn't come out. But what does come out is this here, which is the emulsion tube. That's the one with all these little holes there that fuel and air get mixed. And then there's the jet that is in this tube there that came out. This was really crusty. I don't know if you guys can see, but it was really green still. I took most of it out, but it needed some help. And then the manual says that if you have a K-series bike, you need to replace this with a 105, which this is. It says 105. I don't know if you guys can see. Let's see if I can get you a good angle. It says 105. Anyways, you guys probably can't see, but if you have an F series, which I have, it says to use the 110, which this is. So it comes with a 105 and a 110. So don't confuse. They have small lettering, but it says. So use the 110. So the 110 goes into here, like so. I'm going to bring the cam down just a tad. There we go. That's better. All right. So in order to properly set this into here, and in here there's a needle that I didn't have to replace, and there's the needle jet here which didn't need to be replaced. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, like I said, that I'm not using, so that I'm setting aside. This goes on top of the needle in here, like so. That just sort of threads in. And this is nutted on the end, so it's a number 7. So you take Mr. Number 7 here, and you just want to let it stay sort of snug, not go too crazy with it. And then I have these really small precision screwdrivers that I use to just have this seat and sort of stay snug. And that's it. So the 110 is in, and then the emulsion tube is on top of the needle that was, like I said, already in because I didn't remove and replace any of this stuff. All right. So then what we're going to do is we're going to replace the pilot screw that goes into here. Now, the pilot screw that came with these carbs is this one here. You'll notice that it's pretty short on the top. It's meant to sit sort of flush in this hole here. The rebuild kit, at least the one from Tourmax, the rebuild kit comes with two. It comes with a straight replacement for the one that I had, which is this one here. As you can see, they're identical, okay? But it also comes with this one. Now, if you look at both the new ones together, you'll notice that if I align them, they're pretty similar. The length of the needle is the same. This one has a few more threads, but the most important part is that this one has an extra space on the head there, and it actually has grooves that you can use a pair of pliers in. The idea behind this is that it won't sit flush like this one will. It'll protrude a little bit out of the carb, which makes it easier for adjustment once it's on the bike. So I like that idea. This may have been an option that they gave you. In my mind, it fits exactly the same. They're the same diameter. Everything is the same. So I'm not gonna question myself any longer. And what I did was, for all the other ones, as you can see on the top here, if I angle it this way, you'll see that they protrude a little bit and you're able to adjust them instead of it being flush. So that's what I used. And there are parts that go in here and it'll go in this little hole here. So what you do is you take your needle screw. First, there's a spring. I'm not gonna use the old, I'm gonna use the new spring. The spring goes inside here. And then you have a little washer that you have to make sure you don't lose. So this little washer goes on top, like so. And then you have a small O-ring, which is this one here, and that goes on top of the washer there. Now this needs to go in here. It should hold like this. If you hold it like this, you should be fine. This will go in here, and it'll just screw in. Now these are the kinds of screws that you have to adjust for the factory setting. So what you do, I'm gonna try and get you a good angle. There you go. So what you do is you want to seat this screw just lightly, and this is spring loaded, so it's going to give you some resistance. Let's stay like this. Okay, so see how here it wants to stop turning. I'm not going to force it more than this. The manual says that if you have a K-series bike, it's a different setting. You want to rotate 1.5 turns out from where it's lightly seated. And on the F-series, which this is, it's 1 3/4 turns. So if you look at it a bit closer, I'm a little bit just past the 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock point. So what I want to do is give it a full rotation out, half, full, and then 3/4. So this end will end up pointing upwards when I let it out a bit more. So like this. It wasn't directly flush, so I'm leaving a little bit of space. If you're off a couple degrees, it's no big deal. So that's the setting, 1 3/4 turns out from when it's lightly seated, all right? So that's it for that. Then there's the small needle. I'm gonna show you the old one. A neat little trick to look and see if it's still good is that you have a little nipple here, and you can take your little screwdriver and sort of just push it down and see if it will stay down or if it'll move back upwards. This one looks like it would still have been good, but just for kicks, I'm gonna use the new one. So like so, and then these are the floats. You wanna check and see if the floats are sort of flat, which these are fine. And then the needle goes like this, yes, into here, just so that it stays in place. And then it goes into the hole here. It'll sort of line up by itself once it's in there. And there's a little pin that sometimes is hard to get out, but this little pin is used to keep everything in place. It could be hard to press back in. Sometimes your finger isn't strong enough. So what I do is I use my, where are they? There they are, trusty pliers to just sort of help it along like so, and then at some point I just go like this and I push it in, and you can let go of it at some point, and then you just want it sort of flush like so. That's fine, and it will start sticking out the other side. You can sort of go like this if you want. I don't feel like hitting it, so but this is fine. So from this point you could have adjusted the float height. There's a measurement in the book there that says that it should be a certain measurement. I did with a pair of meters there. I just I think it's actually 1.5 centimeters. It looks all right, so I'm just going to leave it. It was okay when it was being disassembled, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Then for the bowls, there are 3 screws that are right here that hold the bowls to the carbs. And there is a screw that didn't come in the rebuild kit for good reason. It's just the drain plug, which is right here on the bottom of the carb. So this goes right back in. You can use a standard sort of flat blade screwdriver and screw this back in. Pretty straightforward. Like so. You just want to sort of seat it flush, not too hard. And this is used to drain the fuel out of this little part of the carbs on the bottom. There's a hole here, right in here, which lets all the gas out if you have to drain it. So, and then this goes on top. So hopefully check to see if your gasket stays in place while you do this. You could do what I did when I assembled them, and is hold the whole assembly like this, and then sort of take the bowl and put it on the, it's the other side, like this. Put it on the bottom, and it'll sit itself down. That's just because you don't want to flip the gasket over. And then from here, 1 screw here, 1 screw there, and 1 screw on top, like so. And then, Phillips. Tight, but just snug. You don't want to over torque this. One a little bit loose, and then the second one is over here. I should look at what I'm doing, also looking at how I'm filming this, because you can't see much unless I move my head. All right, and then just go over it one more time. Snug, snug, and snug. Here we go. So I did this for all 4. Number 2 is different because it has the accelerator pump. I just sort of took these apart and made sure that the pump was in good order. There's a mechanism where, I don't know if you can see, but there's a pin here with a little diaphragm, little piece of rubber, and the pin pushes on your throttle linkage, and when your throttle opens, the pin is going to go down some and push on this little diaphragm, I think. So the next step is going to be to try and remove the choke valves. This one's in bad shape, but it's not too bad. And I mean, there are some filters, or at least some boots that go to the airbox on this side, so it's not too bad. And then this goes to engine. So these are really clean on this side, no problem at all. So these are the carbs reassembled, 1, 2, 3, 4. I forgot to mention, when you reassemble, you can't really miss, because I don't know if you guys can tell, but here is a small number 1. Here it says number 2. And the 3 and 4 you can interchange if you wanted to. I just kept everything bagged and tagged. And then what I'm doing is I'm keeping everything in order. Some stuff that I didn't have to use because it goes on top. Some of the older parts that I just want to keep for reference. And what I did was I have these little baggies that I use, and everything goes in here. So what you do after is you just make sure, like for example, I have the bag for number 4 that I just did. So some of the parts that I didn't use, you just keep all of this in there, some of the old stuff and some of the newer parts and the O-rings and stuff that came in the kit. I'm using these small little baggies, and you just want to make sure that you set everything aside, everything is labeled, and everything is accessible if you needed another part somewhere down the road. So, and the little jet here. So essentially, that's what it is. It isn't too bad. You just have to make sure that you remember how you disassembled everything. And they should go back pretty well if you follow the instructions from the Haynes manual, and also from the, if you can find online, the shop manual, which is from Honda directly. Message me in the comments if you have a hard time finding the manuals. I can send you to where I found mine, or actually maybe even email you the file that I used for that. But I should mention that the file is pretty big, so sometimes it's hard to fit on an email. So just trying to make sure that everybody has everything they need there. So if you ever need to do one of these, forgot to tighten this one. So that's it. thanks for watching. Keep in touch. These will go back on the engine soon, and I'm really happy to tell you that the engine is almost ready to attempt to fire. It's going to go back in the bike very soon, and hopefully I'll have some noise for you in the few days or weeks. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.